Hey there, this is Mario the Artisan Rogue. This is a drawing I'm doing of a character called Mereto the Disciple, who's one of the inhabitants of the World of Ardor, the graphic novel comic book that I've been working on and still trying to complete as of the posting of this video. So this is going to be a look at a slightly different technique that I'm trying. Essentially, if any of you are familiar with previous videos I've done, I almost always started out with either a pencil sketch or something rough, and then I'd go into Illustrator and recreate those shapes, sort of trace back over them in Illustrator, making essentially the most basic of shapes come together in some sort of form factor. Since I work with a lot of shadow play and chiaroscuro sort of elements, that was the easiest and fastest way I found to work with that. And it was cool, it kind of lent itself to a very posterized sort of feel in the final products, but I wanted something this time more painterly, more, for the lack of a better term, quote-unquote concept art looking. So I decided to start off just straight into Photoshop, as you see here, using just the marquee tools to draw. Now this is technically the second Photoshop document sort of created thing I've ever done like this, where I just jumped in and kind of let serendipity go, let happy accidents happen, to quote Bob Ross. And I had a multitude of different brush textures, some of my own, some that I bought, just a bunch that I really like that are grungy, that emulate sort of scraping ink across or working on dry media. And the document is, let me see here, I think it's like 300 DPI. It's a decent one, 13 by 19. And I put sort of a light neutral gray in the background, a little warmer. And here I'm just drawing in little bits and bobs and shadows as to where I think this character's armor would be. There is no pre-existing sketch. There is nothing. This was the first attempt at what this character was going to look like. So I just kind of thought to myself, well, okay, here's the general shape of the body. This is all blasphemous. So none of what you're watching is really good for a beginner to start off with. I tend to get in a hurry whenever I'm creating things because I can see the character in my head ahead of time. And I'm like, all right, I know where the shadows are. I know where the basic form is. I know what I want it to look like. And since most of the character designs for the World of Ardor, especially a certain sect of characters, are very shadowy, very shadowy. Sorry, I'm tired. Tongue is tired. It's just ridiculous. It's been a long day. And I got to see alpacas today, though. That was really cool. So here I'm just kind of trying to figure out, like, okay, how big do I want the masked area? Is there going to be lighting here? How dark am I pushing this? It's interesting because when I work on toned paper, I know exactly how far to push graphite and to use white pencil to bring it out. I still struggle, right? I'm very high contrasty, and this is something I needed to get back to doing. For a while, I was actually, if I can say this for myself, pretty good at doing that. And then, like anything, if you get out of practice and you don't really focus on it, you just get rough, right? The good thing about this is, since this is digital, I was able to just keep on adding layers and seeing, okay, well, this did work, this didn't work. And right now, as you can see, I'm just trying different brushes, trying different textures over it, just trying to see if there's anything that is going to evoke the mood and the feeling for the character. It's very Ringwraith, it's very, Dementor, it's very Emperor Palpatine sort of hooded demonic monk sort of look. So it's, for the most part, not the most original idea, but it's very much in that trope. There's a character, or not a character, it's a line of toys called Final Faction you can find at Family Dollar, and the villains in the line very much are in an aesthetic I like, and they have sort of that H.R. Giger sort of aesthetic with like biomechanical elements. I highly recommend them if you're into toys and you like collecting stuff. The toy line is fantastic. The sculpting is on point for a lot of them. The paint work is not. And there's actually going to be a video coming down the road where I've been working on some of those toys, doing custom paint jobs, just to see, just trying to bring out the difference. Basically, I'm going to use a compare and contrast where I'm showing like where here's the one that was released in the store, and here's what you can do if you add a little more effort into something. So getting back to this drawing, one of my favorite things is adding tentacles onto anything. I love the look of it. It's just something, first of all, I love squids and octopi. I think they're incredible creatures. a few years ago, I actually swore off of ever eating calamari. When I really understood how intelligent and to what capacity these animals have, you know, in their life and what they do, I was just overwhelmed. And I was like, you know, it's just a personal choice. I'm not going to judge anyone that still eats that stuff. I was not down with that. So anytime I go eat sushi or anything else like that, I'm like, no octopus, no squid. But I also find it to be a very creepy thing. And one of my favorite characters in the movies, especially in the Pirates of the Caribbean series, is Davy Jones. Like, that is wild how they made the beard work and everything. So here I'm starting to kind of do my thing where I'm putting in glowy eyes, that whole sort of thing. This has become a really wild, just fallback trope. Like, if you want to make something look menacing, give it glowy eyes, give it glowy tech, and that sort of stuff. I always liked that look, but honestly, you know, everyone does that, a variation of it, from the kaiju in Pacific Rim to, you know, any one of the number of games that are out there now. You know, they have characters like that. And a lot of them are escaping my mind, probably like Dead Space or some of those. They have like high-tech sort of things looking like that. For me, the light in these characters was always meant to be bioluminescent. I was inspired by a story, I believe, if my memory serves me right, it happened during the Civil War, where there was a type of mold that had gotten into the legs and arms, the limbs essentially, of wounded soldiers, and it formed it acted as a sort of penicillin. In fact, I think it might have been a penicillin, but it glowed blue, and I think they were calling it like Angel's Glow or something like that, but it kept a lot of the soldiers from dying, and it was something that had been in the mud they were laying in, and it was the temperature and everything. It was really nuts. And I've always liked bioluminescent aspects in animals and in plants. That's fascinating to me. I'm actually rather jealous that humans don't have that. So anytime I get a chance to do that, I feel like in the world that they live in, there is a part of the planet where bioluminescence is very much part of this. But I wanted something that it was like bioluminescent technology. Most of the creatures are a mishmash of, like, you know, electrical and mechanical parts and fungi and other elements that have come together and you know, essentially recreated an organism that ended up on the planet. And at the end, I really ended up liking how this came out. But you know, one of the things I was notorious for in a lot of my work, and I got a lot of criticism for that early on in my career, was, you know, this is great, but, you know, if you want to add more to it, you know, really follow through, give it depth, and give it a place to live in as far as an illustration. Now, I understand this is sort of a concept art shot, so really this could be good enough, but it's kind of in the middle, and I was like, you know, I probably could make something more out of this, and so I decided I'm going to go ahead and make it a full-blown illustration that will be available. You can find it in the link below, and all of these come printed 13 by 19, and they're printed out on really nice stock paper, whatever I have on hand, either coated or semi-gloss, but all of it high-end paper. The inks are all archival. They'll outlast your lifetime, from what I understand. They're printed on a Canon that I have here in studio, which is phenomenal. If you see me at my shows, that's what I use for everything. So in the background, I decided I'm going to go the cheesy kind of like, hey, I'm a concept artist kind of thing. Just do like some ambient clouds and some different variations in the background. I love that sort of thing. Most of this is because of the fact that since I don't have an iPad, since I don't really do this sort of thing naturally, you know, because I don't have something like that, I try to mess with different kinds of brushes I have and come up with something that'll just make the character stand out more in the background and, you know, to evoke that look that digital artists do. And I'm in a weird sort of fence because I'm such a traditional artist normally that I struggle with a lot of this sort of thing, and like, you know, I get frustrated because I'm always looking for new brushes or trying to make new ABR files to utilize whenever I'm doing this stuff, so it doesn't look like everybody else's, which I think is a real challenge. Never mind everything that's happening with AI art. You know, it's a real challenge to make your digital art stand out. But in the end, this was just an experiment, and I was really happy with the end result. I got the mood I wanted. It looks great. It looks like something that would have been in the game Limbo, which is a huge influence to me. If you follow my channel, you know what I'm talking about. On that note, thank you for watching. If you like this, please click like below. If you want to follow and subscribe, I would really appreciate that. And I'll have a lot more videos coming out. In the meantime, check out my journal and my playthrough lists, and I will catch you in the next time-lapse drawing.